Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money with your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 605 of Screw the Commute podcast. I'm here with Brandon Neely, and I'm not going to do the obvious joke of let's go Brandon, because I'm not going to go there, put it that way. But you are going to hear how a little baby made him sell his business. How could that happen? We'll find out in a few minutes. Hope you didn't miss episode 604. That was Christian D. Evans, and he's going to he did tell us how to scale businesses with processes and so forth. So besides that, Brandon's also going to tell us about budgeting and comparing that with cash flow and all kinds of good stuff to get your money straight. All right, make sure you pick up a copy of our automation ebook. We actually estimated it a couple years ago that just one of the tips in this book, and it's a 60, 70-page book. This isn't any kind of little 3-page crap checklist. This is the stuff that's allowed me to handle up to 150,000 subscribers and 65,000 customers without pulling my hair out. And it teaches you how not to fight with your computer, because I want you spending time with your customers and your prospects and developing products and services, not fighting with your computer. So pick up a copy of this book and by the way, it saved me 7.5 million keystrokes. We actually estimated a couple years ago, it's probably 8 million by now. So pick a copy up at screwthecommute.com/automate free. While you're at it, pick up a copy of our podcast app at screwthecommute.com/app. That's APP. You can put us on your cell phone and tablet and take us with you on the road. All right, let's get to the main event. Brandon Neely's here. He's an entrepreneur, and he's got a thing, profit first and bank on yourself. I got to get him to define all this stuff because he's got a lot of cool stuff going on. And he's the co-host of the Wealth Wisdom Financial podcast with his wife, Amanda. And they founded and managed Overflow Cafe Coffee Bar, and then it's L3C. I don't know what that means, and we'll find out what that is too, from 2008 to 2018. And now they share their experiential knowledge through podcasting and through developing personalized financial strategies for individuals and couples, and profitability strategies for business. So, Brandon, are you ready to screw the commute?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I had my commute was not very far today.
That's good.
Straight down to the basement.
That's good. Well, the first thing we like to do is thank you for your service. We're very pro-military here. September is Vetpreneurs Month. I might have had you on then if I'd have known right off the bat. I don't want to, I shouldn't say this because I never was a Marine, but is it oorah or what is the saying that the Marines do?
I think oorah.
Simplify. Okay.
Yeah,
simplify. Yeah.
And you did a Memorial Day, I think, thing, and you talked about November 11th, I believe, for one of the holidays.
That used to be, right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the reason it was changed, again, don't quote me on this, but the Marine Corps birthday is that same day. So it might have been competing with that.
I see. Well, yeah, there was a lot of interesting things about Memorial Day that covered in that episode. That happened to be our 600th episode celebration too. So yeah. I was thrilled to be anywhere near the service people that we love so much around here. Now, I got to ask you though, how did an ITT tech and data analyst guy end up selling coffee? How does that work?
Yeah, so I'm a person who loves to change the world, make a difference in the world. That's why I joined the Marine Corps, because I was like, oh, let's do that. Then, I went into the music industry, worked with some big time celebrities, realized that was not for me, even though I worked for them and my soul was getting blacker and blacker by the day. So I transitioned to that and said, I need to make some money. I need to figure this out. Let me go to technical school because I don't know anything about this or money, or didn't have a parent to help me along the way. And went to ITT Tech, which is now defunct, and tried to become doing all the technical stuff, right? But now it's all changed, right? Because that was several years back.
All right. Well,
Uh,
let me stop you for a second. Did you not have a parent at all, or you didn't have a parent that helped you with
oh,
this stuff?
yeah. I had two parents. They're
Okay.
great,
Okay.
but
Okay.
they were not, I would say, um, financially gifted
All
and
right.
that kind of thing. So it was on me to figure out, which is a lot of people actually.
Yeah. Sure.
And so went into doing that, and then somehow got married. This is
You
interesting. When I was
somehow
listening,
got married.
yeah, somehow got married. I remember using my technical background and working for the big banks. I worked for JP Morgan at the time, and my wife said, we'll get married, and you're gonna move to Chicago. And I was like, that's not happening.
From
We live
where?
in the
From where?
suburbs, from the suburbs of Chicago. And I was like, no, that commute is easier here. You're gonna commute. And so what eventually happened is, being a good potential husband, I did move over that way to Chicago, and commuted for an hour more than I used to.
Yikes. That's dirty
Yes.
word around here, right?
Yeah, I know. And I was like, this is stupid. And through the course of time, was like, and changed some jobs, had a less commute, but then realized I wanted to do start a business. And we were idealistic entrepreneurs. So we thought, hey, coffee is the most widely traded commodity in the world. Americans are the number one consumer. Want to change the world, have ethical coffee and community building, know your neighbor, that kind of thing. So we started that. Our commute was great because it was like within the neighborhood, and launched a coffee shop, which after 2008, that was a great, I don't know, maybe not the best time to start any like
Mm-hmm.
endeavor like that. But I was an idealistic entrepreneur. You tell anybody you can't do that.
Of course, yeah, they're going to do it. They're going to do it faster. Now, what I
Yeah.
want to ask you though is a couple things here. One is what is ethical coffee? What does that mean?
Yeah. So coffee, you think about it, it's bought and made, and we might have our Folgers coffee. Somebody made it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the thoughts are, okay, if we could say we don't believe in slavery, but yet we're buying slave labor stuff through our purchases every day.
Mm-hmm.
So buying coffee that the farmers are actually paid a fair wage, right? So then it's through the whole supply chain, not just from the coffee roaster or me as a coffee shop, where the whole supply chain is treated in a way where it's good for them, right? I think that's why we're in our economic challenges right now, is because we didn't think about the other person. We're just more about how can I get it for cheap and free,
Mm-hmm.
and that's hurt us.
Well, how can you tell? Because there's a lot of hands in the coffee pot, let's say, from the time that coffee bean comes from where it's grown to somebody drinks it at your shop. So how do you know along the way?
Yeah, we had direct relationships with the roaster who we knew, and has even talked to the farmers.
Mm-hmm.
So having those conversations, looking at the labels, seeing does it say fair trade or direct trade, right? And knowing those labels and being made aware of those. And now I haven't been to a Starbucks in probably 20 years, and don't plan to.
Mm-hmm.
Because I also believe in supporting local as much as possible.
Right. So how's a typical person know what they see at the store and they're buying, and not only just coffee? I'm sure if you walk into Walmart, you probably hear the echoes of slaves, when you hit the front door. So how does a person tell anyway, your experiences with coffee now, since you're out of the coffee business, what does a person look for?
I think you do your research, right? Too many times where we just listen to something on Facebook or this and say it's true. That's in the financial world where we just copy other people's sayings and it's not even accurate or
Mm-hmm.
right. And so you like a store, right? Look at their website, look at their practices, look and see. So I like Eddie Bauer because I know their labor practices.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I see this in other places like REI and things like that that I believe are better. Right. You can't totally get away from everything,
Mm-hmm.
but moving in the right direction. And we actually did a podcast episode that is coming out soon where you vote with your dollars every day. You know, we can't say like I don't know the whole China thing, and I don't like China, but yeah, we've gotten our stuff from them for years, so we vote with our dollars every day that we buy something.
Right. So, with regard to the coffee, though, would you would you say that virtually all the places? Let's say I'm driving from Virginia Beach to Toledo,
Mhm.
Ohio,
Yeah,
and I like coffee.
yeah.
Virtually all of it is probably not what you're talking about, right?
I mean,
It's probably virtually all of it's unethical.
usually the bigger chains maybe they're doing where they're saying something or marketing, right? Hey, it's all Rainforest Alliance or whatever. Maybe it's that way but not the other side. And so sometimes again as I'm going through, um, go without or know what's around. Like if I'm going on a vacation, I'm going to kind of do a little research and I can tell on their website. And I'll like to go to a local independent place more just because it's the vibe of the new place I'm
Hey,
visiting.
maybe there's a website somebody could create, or maybe they have to list all these places for travelers. What do you think about
Yeah,
that?
I bet you there should. I mean, they're probably something. I mean, it's you. There's some in Chicago, a couple like that. Or if you're in that city, typically you'll find a tribe of people that know all the places, right? You just talk and the barista or whatever will tell you should go to this place or that place. Everybody knows, right? Um, because they're the locals, they're the
Right,
insiders.
right.
So
Okay, so I'm not sure if I got this story straight, but it seems to me that a mafia baby walked in, a Chicago mafia baby walked in and made you shut your store down. They were going to take it over. Is that accurate?
where did you see that? Because
No, no,
some
I'm talking about when your wife got pregnant. You figured you couldn't
uh,
have a baby behind the bar.
oh yeah, yeah. Well,
See,
so
that's
is
where my mind goes. It's a mafia Chicago baby walked in and threatened you.
it did seem because I was like, wow, was he there? And this was something that was interesting in the the business. In order for us to start, we had to be a part of a part of a community center and a school, and we were pretty much tenants, and we were on a year-to-year lease, right? Which is not good to be on
Right.
with a business of our nature. So it was a year-to-year lease. We had just experienced a flood in the business, and we used our bank on yourself policy to overcome the flood. But basically, this is crazy. They were repairing the roof of this giant building, and a freak storm came in and flooded us.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I remember I was at the gym running, and my staff calls me and says, "You need to come here right away. The store is falling apart." I was like, "Oh yeah, this is melodramatic.
Yeah.
I'll be there in 10 minutes." And then or I'll get there later. Then they called Amanda and she's like, "We need to go. Here's a video." And literally the store was falling apart. We're like
Yikes.
crying, um, and find out later that my wife was a couple months pregnant. We didn't even know at the time. So wading in like floodwater, probably
Oh,
not the best idea.
oh my goodness.
And I remember a guy that kept asking me, "What's my number?" After I'd recovered a little bit from that, he asked, would always ask, "What's my number to sell?" And I was like, he came in one day, and I was like, "What's your number?" uh, and sold it. It took a little while, but I'm really glad we did, because having a baby behind the bar is kind of illegal. Um, it's literally, you can't.
Yeah.
Um, and so
What's
we
the
were
what's
thinking,
the L3C mean? What does that mean?
yeah. So an L3C is a like a for-profit nonprofit hybrid.
Never even heard of that before.
Yeah, it was new to us. We were
Yeah.
the 17th L3C in the state of Illinois. So you exist for your mission.
Is that
Kind
a
of like,
state thing?
yeah, it's
Oh,
in like,
okay.
I don't know how many states now, but I remember when we were we were going to be a nonprofit coffee shop because we wanted to exist for the mission, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and again, we were idealistic entrepreneurs, so we thought that that's cool. People will give us money. Um, Easier said than done. Um, and two people sent us about this article about this legal structure, and one was from Ohio, one was from another state, that randomly sent us this, and I was like, that's exactly what we're looking for. Come to find out, the attorney who we ended up meeting, who wrote the legislation on it, became a good friend of ours. um, and so that was really interesting, to be a pioneer in the social enterprise sector. um, as we launched the coffee shop, people were like amazed. We didn't even know what we were stepping into, really.
Yeah, that's for sure. So anyway, you get out of the coffee shop, you
Mhm.
sell it while it's flooded. That's I think pretty cool.
No,
But
it was no longer flooded. We
oh,
had
okay.
recovered. We got our insurance back, and then we were on a year lease. So the owners knew that they could end up being kicked out. So that we had built a brand. We built everything was kind of set up, um, you know, copyrighted, all that fun stuff. That he wanted that, and so after we sold, they actually told them to leave when my son is a year old, right?
Mm-hmm.
So April 30th was their last day at the place, and then COVID hit a little later, so they were closed. They reopened. It's owned by a nonprofit, so they were able to overcome, and they're doing amazing now,
Oh, that's good.
with the new ownership and all of that. They are rocking and rolling, and I'm excited for them. I'm also glad that I gave up that first child. You know,
Yeah.
um,
So, so all right. So you're out of the coffee business. Then how did you get into this financial help thing you're doing now?
yeah. Well, I did not know that. Again, we are activists, so we did not know coming into the financial world that there's a lot of opinions about Wall Street and life insurance and all of this. We had no idea. All we knew was this system that we had set up for us saved our butt more than once, right? Because our biggest risk was us,
Mm-hmm.
right? And our biggest investment was our business. So we needed some stability in place. So we had put it into what people hate to talk about as whole life insurance. My mentor, and he was my advisor at the time, um, still helps us. But we put into there, and we could access our cash value from the policy to do certain things like get out of debt, the emergency. Ultimately, we used it to buy a house here in Cincinnati, down payment of that house. Um, and so as we sold the business, I remember applying to work with him, and he said, no, I don't, you're too entrepreneurial. I can't hire you. I was like, well, thanks. I need to go look for a job because I have a baby coming. And, being a business owner and being an entrepreneur, you know how hard it is to get a job.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I'm like, hell, I don't think this is going to work. And then he came back couple months later, he said, I have an idea. How about you and your wife team up together to do this? And you can get trained and you can create your own business. And my wife is like, at this point, pretty pregnant. And we're like, that sounds great. No one's going to hire her. Might as well. And so we did that, and we created our second business, which is Grandma's Wealth Wisdom, which we're in the middle of a kind of a rebrand. But the tagline was, sometimes intelligence skips a generation, for Grandma's Wealth Wisdom, because we're like, savers versus investors. Look at how that's working out for a lot of people. We had used this thing called Story Brand, and we weren't as confident in our own financial like experience yet, even though we had sold the business, did all of that. So we thought, well, Grandma, we'll use her as a guide. But we've now switched and said, no, we are actually pretty legit. We do know what we're talking about. And so we've switched that to Wealth Wisdom Financial, which has pictures of us.
I'm glad you did, because when I first started, I go through thousands of emails a day. All right, thousands. Yeah. I'm like lightning fast. But when I saw this grandma thing come in, I thought it was spam for a minute. I was thinking, grandmother's, emailing me, and it was you.
Yeah. Well, it was good from a marketing perspective. I felt like it was a good, memorable. People remember that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't leading what we wanted, and we don't want to be just another financial firm, like Wealthfront Capital or whatever.
Now I did see one of your videos, and it was called Budgeting versus Cash Flow Management, and you used some farm examples, and I was watching that, and I'm thinking, man, I never budgeted my whole life. I'm like, bring more money in. That's all I think about. So what's the difference between budgeting and cash flow management?
Yeah. So most entrepreneurs they bring more money in, right? And that can work. But then at the same time, I use this profit first system where I operate OPEX. My operation expense is about 30% of what comes in, right? And so I want to budget and make sure that those things are optimal, right? And budgeting helps kind of look backwards, see what's working. Cash flow is, okay, how can we make more money and increase more revenue, right? That's, doing more with less. And also, I learned a thing from this guy called Perry Marshall.
And this guy, he's one of the original OGs like me. I mean, he was way back when I first started.
And I met him way back a long time ago. I had no idea he was a big deal in the online world. It was through church, and I was getting advice on how to start this business, and they said, well, this guy does business, he's pretty well known, you should talk to him. So we bought him a beer, and he gave me some advice of saying, audition every employee that comes through before you hire them. And so I auditioned everybody before I got them as a staff person. Wash some dishes. Let's see if they can actually wash dishes.
Yeah, make them sing too.
Yeah, and I would learn, well, this person, if they're asking me how to wash dishes, they don't need a job. They should have learned that from mom. So I learned that from him, and then he taught, which I'm getting into, the 80-20 rule. Like 80% of what we do actually doesn't matter, 20% does. So if you're budgeting and you're doing what we call like that, looking at your budget, seeing how much expenses are going out, not just making money, but is it creating a system, put more money towards that 20% that's working and keep doing that. But you have to kind of know your numbers and know it's working, right? And too many business owners say, well, I don't like that, I'll just make money. Or on the flip side, from a business owner perspective, they either overpay themselves or underpay themselves. There's no in between. And so I love having percentage models in place to be able to know if it's working or not, give myself profit instead of just giving it to Jeff Bezos or something.
Yeah, really. So what actually is the still method? What does that mean?
Yeah. So as we've been working with clients and business owners, we've been realizing that a lot of, and this is our system in the world today. Let me see if you resonate with any of this. These words: confusing, right?
Yeah.
Haphazard,
Yep.
uh, anxious,
Yep.
overwhelming, and stressful.
Yeah, I've heard those words before.
That's our world right now, and that spells chaos, right?
Chaos, right?
And we're like, man, this world is all chaos, and it's by design. Our tax system is by design. Our everything I feel like is by design for chaos. And this guy Donald Miller, he wrote a book called Story Brand, and he said, if you confuse, you lose. And I was like, this is really good for marketing. If you're confused, you won't make as much, right? Um, and I look and say, well, okay, taxes, all of this stuff is confusing. So what do you do? Well, and for my faith background, I was like, well, you create a practice around your money. You'd be surprised how many business owners, family members don't talk about money with their significant other. They don't actually do any of this stuff
until
whenever I
the
ask.
until the divorce.
Until the divorce,
Yeah.
or at the end, they're like,
Yeah.
how did I get here? And they all have these, like, some goals. I'm going to be a millionaire by this day, and they aren't doing anything, right? And so the still method is a practice, right? And you can implement this in, am I doing a good date night with my wife or something? And because we love acronyms, the chaos to still, and the still is set your sights, right? You have to actually know where you want to go, kind of have a destination, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, most people don't even know. They're just kind of zoned out zombies, right? Um, so you have to have a destination, set your sights. Then that's that budgeting of track your in and out, right? Looking at, hey, I have these goals. Is going to McDonald's every day helping me go on the trips that I have as my sites, right? That I want to do, right? Um, Inspect your progress is the I. So again, track it, but then you inspect and look. Um, and then the L leads into these other pieces. Look for 1% adjustments. How can I get better? Because it's not the big sale that makes it. It's those 1% adjustments that are made over time that really you can see wealth accumulate, right? And then the last L is live deliberately. You can say all this, right? But you have to actually live it out. I know in the business world, there's a lot of what I call entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
You know, uh, they all have ideas. They're all going to tell you. Some of them may have been on your show, right? You never know until after. But the ones that are real entrepreneurs are the ones, or business owners are the ones that have some failures, some war wounds, and they've lived deliberately. And what they've done is they've moved forward, then they made a failure or something, and then they pivot, right? And they say, okay, go back. What was my goal? Track, go back over, right? And they do this all the time. And they're pretty deliberate in what
Mm-hmm.
they do.
All right, so let me go over
And
those again. So set sights, track
mhm,
your ins and outs,
mhm,
inspect your progress, look for 1% adjustments, not any big wild stuff, and then
yep,
live deliberately to go
yeah.
after those things, and then I guess you reinspect.
Yeah, you just go back through it
Mm-hmm.
monthly, or probably monthly, right? And this doesn't just apply to money. Again, I look at, hey, I want a good marriage. Okay, set your sights. What do I want to look like this when I'm 60, right? Marriage wise. All right. Are we doing date nights, right? Track. Inspect. Are we just like watching and vegging or not even talking, right? look for 1% adjustments, turn off the TV, live deliberately, continue that cycle, right? So it can be in all areas
Yeah, I'm just
of
glad you
life.
didn't, talk about ins and outs on the marriage.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We don't want to go there. So beautiful. So we got to take a brief sponsor break. When we come back, we will ask Brandon what's a typical day look like for him. Does he have any kind of routines, morning routines? I
Yeah.
know his wife is involved in the business, and his 4-year-old. I don't. We'll see if the 4-year-old is going to end up being an entrepreneur. So, folks, about 20, 25 years ago, I kind of turned the internet marketing guru world on its head, in that people at my level were charging like 50 or 100 grand up front to small business people to help them with online stuff. And I knew a lot of these people. If you gave them 50 grand up front, you'd never see them again. So I said, I'm going to turn this on its head and kind of make them all mad, in that I charged an entry fee. It was only like 10% of what they were trying to charge. And then I tied my success to your success. So for me to get my 50,000, you had to net 200,000. Well, people really loved this because they knew I wouldn't disappear on them. And here we are 25 years later, 1,700 plus students, and still going strong. It's the longest running, most unique, and most successful internet and digital marketing mentor program ever. I triple dog dare people to put theirs up against mine, because they won't, because I'll embarrass them. I mean, we have the Great Internet Marketing Retreat Center, where you spend an immersion weekend actually living in the estate with me. For an immersion weekend, we have our own TV studio here, where we shoot videos for you, edit them, put the graphics on, send them to you. It's all one-on-one. You're not lumped in with groups where people are more experienced or less experienced. It's all about you with me and my entire staff. You get a scholarship to my school, which is the only one in the country that's specific and dedicated to internet marketing and digital marketing, and licensed by the state of Virginia. So nobody puts this kind of stuff up for you. So you can check out the details if you'd like that program at greatinternetmarketingtraining.com. There's no high pressure here. If you don't see the value of it, it's not going to change my lifestyle one bit, but it might change yours. So check it out, greatinternetmarketingtraining.com. All right, let's get back to the main event. We've got Brandon Neely here. He and his wife run a, I don't know what to call it, a financial management or financial help firm. What do you call it, Brandon?
Yeah, I'd say we're financial services. We
Mm-hmm.
help people a lot with cash flow management, and then
There you go.
like whole life insurance, annuities. It's all about managing cash flow.
Got it.
It's kind of the way I think.
All right. So what's a typical day look like for you? Do you have a morning routine, or what, how's it go? What do you eat? What time do you get up? How the family work in with all this stuff?
Yeah. So I'm also a caretaker of my mother-in-law. So
Oh,
she
okay.
helped watch my son. So she's
Nice.
good enough to watch him, but not good enough to live on her own.
Got
Kind
it.
of.
I understand.
And so in the mornings, side note, I'm changing my routines a little bit, because having a 4-year-old, I've noticed my scale has been going up.
Well, that changes
Um,
your routine more than 1%, I think.
yeah,
Right.
it has changed a bit, but my scale on my weight has been changing, and I'm like, this is not going to happen. And so I've been changing diet lately,
Okay.
but Monday through
So
Friday.
that's the still method, right? I mean, you can
Yeah.
still use the same thing that you explained.
Yeah. And I'm lowering my weight because I want to get back to 180.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been going every morning, Monday through Friday. I get up at 5:30, head to the gym, do some exercise. But again, it's not just exercise. You have to actually make sure you're not eating like junk food
Right,
or,
right. You can't
um,
exercise enough to
yeah.
get rid of that.
And I swear, I don't know how much, when you have like a little kid, everybody gives them candy,
Oh,
right?
look
And
at her.
that's like the worst thing ever to give a kid if you want them to actually like do anything.
And that's a conspiracy by the dentist too.
I don't know. I don't know. So I do that. My wife is studying for a CFP, so she gets up at the same time, and she's studying every day for almost an hour. to 2 hours for CFP, which is a certified financial planner
Yep.
designation. And then either go into the office, work with the staff. We have a couple staff that we have employed. Now I have some staff. I remember with the coffee shop, I said, I'm never going to have employees ever again. This is ridiculous. And now I do again.
So are they W-2 employees or contractors or what?
I like W-2 employees just because for me, I like to build the company culture and some of that. Not just saying, hey, make me again, looking at my ethical economics, I could get a same job in Ethiopia or something, but is that really aligned with my values?
Got it.
So that was something. And then we do our podcast writing or YouTube or mainly client meetings.
Yeah, tell them about the podcast.
Yeah. It is Wealth Wisdom Financial. It comes out every other week. Same Wealth Wisdom Financial on podcast and on YouTube, where we're just trying to educate people, and tell them or help them think for themselves, right? Dave Ramsey maybe doesn't know everything.
Oh, you're kidding. You're kidding.
Yeah, maybe what he's teaching isn't actually accurate for you, right?
Yeah.
And too many times I hear, yeah, this is stupid. And he's even said what I do is stupid. And I'm like, it only saved my life and my marriage and other things that I think it's helpful. And that's why I'm in this industry. But helping re-educate people, like the 401, educating about 401k or the market, like building stability and safety. I think that why we put so much emphasis on content in this world today is most people's financials, it's kind of like a pyramid that's built upside down, right? And what we might be seeing pretty soon is a lot of these pyramids falling over. And why I liked our old brand, Grandma's Wealth Wisdom, it was built on stability. You don't spend more than you make, budget, we don't we don't need everything that we think we need. But we are in a consumeristic world and it's all based on consumption of health. And I'm like, that's look at a person who's diabetic. Tell me that consuming a lot is going to help be healthy for them.
Right. Exactly. So how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, for sure. Go and download stillmethod.com. It's a simple little PDF, no book yet. We are going to get there. After my wife finishes the CFP, that's the next big thing. But stillmethod.com, download that little PDF, asks a lot of questions on that. Go to Wealth Wisdom Financial on podcast, YouTube, and you can email me directly at brandon@grandmaswealthwisdom.com.
That cracks me up every time I hear it. Brandon at, what is it? Grandma's?
Wealthwisdom.com.
Grandma's
Eventually we'll change the name, but not, it's, as you run a business, shoot, it's like really slow to move all this stuff.
Don't worry about it. That 4-year-old keep you busy. So thanks so much for coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I can't wait to have you on our show.
Yeah, you're doing good work in the world. And again, thanks for your service.
Yeah. And if I could leave your listeners, you're the master of your ship, right? Actually think and own your own future, right? That's the main thing that too many people are passive.
Screw the commute and do it deliberately after you do the first STIL stuff. All right, man. All right. Thanks so much.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll catch everybody on the next episode. See you later.